The invisible architecture of your life stands before you now, not in stone or steel, but in the quiet decisions you make when no one is watching. What if the wealth you seek has always been waiting, locked behind a door whose key is not opportunity, but uncompromising self-discipline? In the silence between your thoughts lies the battlefield where financial mastery is won or lost. How many hours have you spent chasing comfort while calling it progress? How many opportunities have slipped through fingers too weak to grasp what you claim to desire? The modern man stands at a precipice of his own making, drowning in information, yet starving for wisdom, rich in distractions, yet bankrupt in focus. Your bank account is merely the physical manifestation of your mental ledger. Look at it closely. What truth does it reveal about who you truly are? The Stoics understood what we have forgotten, that fortune favors not the bold, but the disciplined, that wealth accumulates not to the clever, but to the consistent. How many times have you surrendered your future self to the temporary pleasures of your present weakness? If you had to abandon one vice today that is silently sabotaging your financial destiny, would you even recognize which one to choose? The path of Musashi, the undefeated swordsman who mastered the void between action and thought, demands a rare form of courage. Not the courage that roars in public display, but the quiet resolve that rises before dawn, that chooses discomfort when comfort beckons, that faces financial truths when others embrace comforting illusions. You sense it, don't you? That unsettling awareness that you were designed for, more than this endless cycle of earning and consuming. You feel that you deserve more from life, but do you have the courage to admit that you haven't yet become the person worthy of receiving it? What follows is not information, but transformation. 7 principles extracted from ancient wisdom, yet forged in the fires of modern economic warfare. These habits form not a strategy but an identity, the architecture of an unshakable mind that creates unshakable wealth. Your relationship with money mirrors your relationship with yourself. Both require the same unflinching honesty, the same ruthless prioritization, the same patient accumulation of right decisions. Which financial habit is currently holding you hostage? Which belief about wealth keeps you chained to mediocrity? The storms that topple financial houses built on sand leave untouched those built on the bedrock of discipline. The question before you now is not what you can gain, but who you must become. Not how much you can accumulate, but how thoroughly you can master yourself. The principles I'm about to reveal have always existed in plain sight, protected not by secrecy, but by the unwillingness of most to endure their demands. Are you prepared to hear truths that may disturb your comfort, but liberate your potential? If you're committed to this transformation, write, "I choose to master my mind," in the comments. If you're ready to continue watching, knowing you can never again pretend ignorance of these principles, then type, "I choose to evolve." What awaits is not merely financial strategy, but the awakening of the sleeping warrior within, who knows that true wealth begins with unshakable discipline. The battlefield of wealth lies not in markets or opportunities, but in the silent war chamber of your own mind. Here, in the space between impulse and restraint, fortunes are won or surrendered. Consider the quiet tyranny of undisciplined desire, how it commands you to trade tomorrow's freedom for today's fleeting comfort. The Stoics understood that true poverty is not the absence of possessions, but the abundance of wants. Look around you. What surrounds you now? Objects that serve your growth or distractions that drain your potential? When was the last time you denied yourself something, not because you couldn't afford it, but because you refused to be owned by it? This is the first paradox of financial mastery. Wealth begins not with acquisition, but with deliberate renunciation. The modern world conspires against your sovereignty. It whispers that fulfillment awaits in the next purchase, the next upgrade, the next status symbol. Yet those who have achieved true financial independence know a deeper truth, that every transaction is a moral decision. Every dollar spent is life energy exchanged, Every purchase is not merely economic but philosophical. Ask yourself, what am I truly buying with my resources? Temporary relief or lasting power? The undisciplined mind treats money as a means to comfort. The disciplined mind recognizes it as concentrated potential. Potential that, properly harnessed, builds not just bank accounts, but internal fortitude. What does your spending reveal about the architecture of your values? If your financial decisions were a map of your character, would you recognize yourself in its territory? The warrior's approach to wealth demands uncomfortable self-examination. What still controls you? Is it the opinion of others manifested in status purchases that drain your reserves? Is it the fear of missing what others have, driving you to compete in games designed to keep you chained? Or perhaps it is simple weakness, the inability to stand firm when desire rises like a storm within. Your greatest financial enemy may not be external circumstances, but internal compromise. Name your adversary. Face it without flinching. Which internal battle, if won today, would most transform your financial future? Share in the comments the enemy you're committed to defeating. Make your declaration a contract with yourself. The path of financial discipline is walked in solitude, yet paradoxically connects you to the timeless lineage of those who chose self-mastery over self-indulgence. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, slept on a hard bed to maintain his mental edge. Musashi owned little beyond his swords and scrolls, understanding that possessions quickly become possessors. What possesses you now? What ownership do you claim that in truth owns you? The disciplined mind creates a fortress of habits, impenetrable routines that protect wealth not by hoarding, but by eliminating financial weaknesses. When was the last time you chose what was right instead of what was easy? This choice, made daily, hourly in the private chambers of your mind, is the cornerstone of unshakable discipline. Which of these questions struck you most deeply? Share in the comments the one that penetrated your defenses. What are you willing to sacrifice to become financially free? The second principle of Stoic financial mastery reveals itself not in action, but in stillness. In the spaces between transactions lies the power of financial restraint, the ability to observe an impulse without becoming its servant. Examine the last 5 purchases you made. How many arose from genuine necessity? How many from momentary desire disguised as need? The disciplined mind cultivates space between stimulus and response, a pause where freedom resides. This pause, this moment of conscious choice, becomes your most valuable asset. It costs nothing yet saves everything. The wealth you seek may not be found in what you pursue, but in what you refuse to chase. Your relationship with money mirrors your relationship with time. Both are finite resources that reveal your true priorities. The undisciplined squander both, then wonder why neither wealth nor wisdom accumulates. Consider how many hours of your life were exchanged for possessions now forgotten. How many future options have you surrendered for immediate gratification? The Stoic recognizes that financial choices are not merely monetary, but temporal. Each decision either buys freedom for your future self or sells it to your present desires. Your bank statement is not a record of transactions, but a calendar of how your life force has been directed. Study it with the seriousness of a general reviewing battlefield maps. Where have you been ambushed by impulsivity? Where have you surrendered strategic positions for tactical comforts? The third realm of mastery exists in your relationship to loss. The undisciplined fear losing what they have. The disciplined prepare for it with equanimity. Seneca, despite his wealth, regularly practiced poverty, eating simple foods and sleeping on hard surfaces, not from asceticism, but to remove the fear that controlled others. What would remain of your identity if your financial status suddenly changed? If everything external was stripped away, what internal resources would sustain you? This preparation for loss paradoxically protects against it, for the person who needs nothing makes financial decisions from strength, not desperation. In what part of your routine has silence taught you more than words? Where have you learned more from restraint than from indulgence? The Stoics understood that emotional discipline precedes financial discipline. Anger, fear, envy, and desire, these are the four horsemen that trample financial foundations. Examine your last financial regret. Which emotion drove the decision? The disciplined mind observes these emotional storms without being swept away by them. It recognizes that market fluctuations, economic uncertainties, and financial setbacks are inevitable. What remains within your control is not circumstance, but response. Your portfolio may rise or fall, but your character, your true wealth, remains undiminished if you choose. What still binds you to weakness? What emotion, if mastered today, would most transform your financial future? Consider this question before continuing. If you were forced to teach someone else about financial discipline tomorrow, what would you need to change in yourself today to speak with integrity? Comment "Discipline is freedom" if you feel yourself awakening to this code. The architecture of wealth begins with the architecture of time. Examine how you allocate your hours. This reveals more about your financial future than any investment strategy. The disciplined mind guards its morning hours like a fortress, knowing that how you begin determines how you continue. What occupies your first waking hour? Information that serves others' agendas, or silence that strengthens your own? Distraction that fragments your focus, or concentration that compounds your capabilities? Every great fortune began not with a brilliant transaction, but with the unglamorous discipline of protected time. Hours consecrated to creation rather than consumption. The financial master builds wealth in the hours others waste seeking entertainment. The fourth principle lies in your relationship to comfort. Comfort, while not inherently negative, becomes dangerous when prioritized above growth. The undisciplined seek comfort first. The disciplined use discomfort as a forge for their character. Cold showers, fasting, difficult physical training. These are not merely health practices, but financial disciplines. They train the mind to function under constraint, to thrive when resources are limited, to make decisions from principle rather than impulse. When did you last voluntarily embrace discomfort, not because you had to, but because you chose to? This voluntary hardship builds the mental muscle that later resists financial temptation. Every unnecessary comfort rejected becomes a stone in the foundation of your financial fortress. The Stoic approach to wealth demands a relationship with solitude. In silence, away from social influence and comparison, your authentic financial priorities emerge. Most financial mistakes occur in contexts of social pressure or status anxiety. The disciplined mind creates regular intervals of isolation, not to escape, but to recalibrate. These moments of financial solitude, where you face your numbers without distraction or justification, become sacred grounds of truth. What have you been avoiding seeing in your financial reality? What truth, if faced directly, would most rapidly accelerate your progress? The wealth of the wise has always been built in quiet rooms, away from the noise of conventional wisdom and social approval. Consider now your relationship to the invisible asset of attention. While others scatter their focus across dozens of potential investments, opportunities, and strategies, the disciplined mind cultivates depth over breadth. Financial mastery requires not diverse dabbling, but concentrated power. The ability to direct sustained attention to fewer, more significant endeavors. Where have you dispersed your financial energy too thinly? What single area, if given your undivided attention for 1 year, would most transform your financial position? The fortune you seek may not require new information, but deeper implementation of what you already know. What financial knowledge have you collected but not yet applied with the full force of your discipline? Which of these considerations challenges you most directly? What part of your financial behavior requires the most immediate reformation? The Stoics understood that self-examination without self-deception is the beginning of all wealth. Comment below with the area where your discipline is being most severely tested. The seventh principle of Stoic financial mastery manifests in your relationship to desire itself. The undisciplined remain captives to wanting, always seeking the next acquisition, achievement, or experience. The disciplined practice the ancient art of contentment, not as resignation, but as power. Examine the source of your financial dissatisfaction. Does it spring from genuine necessity or from comparison? From actual requirements or manufactured wants? The wealth you seek may already be yours, hidden beneath layers of artificial desire. What if the key to abundance is not in gaining more, but in wanting less? This is not philosophy of lack, but of sovereignty. For the person who controls their wants can never be controlled by them. The Stoic recognizes that financial independence begins with cognitive independence, freedom from the mental patterns that create financial servitude. Consider how advertising, social media, and cultural expectations have colonized your definition of enough. These external influences do not merely suggest what to buy, but engineer who to become. The disciplined mind creates protective boundaries around its values, carefully filtering which influences deserve access to its decision-making. When was the last time you made a significant financial decision based entirely on your own principles, uninfluenced by external pressure or conventional wisdom? This autonomy of judgment, this ability to think financially for yourself, may be your most valuable yet least developed asset. The architecture of discipline reveals itself most clearly in the face of opportunity, not constraint. When unexpected funds arrive, when markets surge, when resources temporarily abound, this is when financial character is truly tested. The undisciplined see abundance as permission to indulge. The disciplined recognize it as responsibility to steward. How do you behave in moments of financial surplus? Do you accelerate toward freedom or revert to captivity? The Stoics understood that prosperity, not hardship, reveals the true quality of a person's relationship with wealth. The discipline to maintain restraint when restraint seems unnecessary. This is the mark of the financial master. What does your behavior in abundance reveal about the structure of your values? The path to financial discipline requires regular encounters with your future self. The untrained mind sees only present circumstances. The disciplined mind maintains continuous dialogue with the person it is becoming. Before each significant expenditure, the master of self asks, "Is this transaction worthy of my future?" This is not merely financial calculation, but existential alignment. The choices that seem small today, the daily coffee, the unnecessary subscription, the impulsive purchase, compound not just financially but identically, gradually constructing either a prison or a fortress for your future self. What message does your present financial behavior send to the person you will be in 10 years? Is it a message of respect or disregard, of foresight or neglect? As we approach the final principles, consider this. The ultimate measure of financial discipline is not what you can gain, but what you can sustain. The markets reward not brilliant timing, but consistent presence. Wealth accumulates not to those who make occasional perfect decisions, but to those who make regular good ones. The seventh habit of unshakable discipline is the practice of persistence, the ability to continue when motivation fades, when results seem distant, when others abandon their course. What financial practice have you begun but not maintained? What discipline, if sustained for 5 years without interruption, would most transform your circumstances? The fortune you seek may not require intelligence beyond your current capacity, but consistency beyond your current habit. Are you prepared to face the final truth, even knowing it may permanently alter how you relate to money? If you've recognized yourself in these principles, comment, "I am becoming the master, not the servant," to declare your position. What remains between you and complete financial discipline? Name the final obstacle you must overcome. As we arrive at this moment of shared awareness, consider not what you've heard, but what you've recognized within yourself. The principles we've explored are not new knowledge, but ancient wisdom that your deeper self has always known, dormant truths awaiting the moment of your readiness. The Stoics understood that transformation occurs not in acquisition, but in recognition. You have always possessed the capacity for unshakable discipline. What changes now is simply your willingness to embody it. In this space between this word and your next thought, a choice awaits: to continue as before, or to step into the silent power that has watched you your entire life. Which principle from these moments will accompany you when silence returns? This is not a question seeking answer, but a seed seeking soil. The fortress of your mind now stands illuminated, not by external light, but by your own growing awareness of its architecture. You've glimpsed the invisible ledger, where true wealth is recorded, not in currency, but in choices. The disciplined life is not a destination, but a daily practice. Not a performance for others, but a private covenant with yourself. The financial master understands that money flows toward disciplined minds, not through complex strategy, but through the magnetic power of controlled desire and directed purpose. What symbolic image awakened something within you? Share in the comments. Your reflection may illuminate someone else's path toward mastery. Notice how differently you breathe now compared to when we began. The subtle shift in your posture. The quality of attention you bring to these words. These physical manifestations reveal the internal realignment already underway. The Stoics knew that philosophy must become physiology, wisdom made flesh, to transform not just thought, but being. The distance between intellectual understanding and embodied wisdom is crossed not through knowledge, but through practice. The 7 habits we've explored become meaningful only when translated into the currency of daily choice. The empty vault now represents not scarcity, but sovereignty, the power to choose value rather than be chosen by impulse. In the marketplace of modern life, most remain unconscious participants in economies of distraction, trading irreplaceable attention for temporary relief from discomfort. You now stand apart, not through superiority but through awareness. The flame that does not consume but illuminates now burns within your financial decisions, casting light on the difference between what you want and what you value. The mind that has learned not to react but to respond brings this same deliberate presence to each transaction, each investment, each allocation of resource. What still binds you when you already possess everything silence can give? This question does not demand an answer. It invites a lifetime. Consider that the wealth you seek may already be yours, hidden beneath layers of artificial desire. The Stoic wealth consists not in having more, but in needing less, not through deprivation, but through discernment. Each time you decline what does not serve your deeper purpose, you accumulate not just financial capital, but spiritual sovereignty. This sovereignty manifests as the calm center that remains unmoved when markets rise or fall, when fortunes shift, when the external world chaotically rearranges itself around you. If you were to leave one phrase for someone who needs to awaken, what would it be? Write it in the comments as a legacy of discipline, your contribution to the ancient lineage of those who chose self-mastery over self-indulgence. The path forward appears not as spectacular achievement, but as consistent practice, the daily ritual of choosing what matters over what glitters, what endures over what entertains. The financial master understands that true wealth accumulates in the space between stimulus and response, in that sacred pause where freedom resides. Each time you expand this pause, each time you choose deliberate response over automatic reaction, you build not just financial security, but existential sovereignty. You become not merely a participant in economic systems, but an architect of your own experience. The quiet power of this realization may take days or years to fully unfold within you. Allow it the space to grow at its own pace. What you've encountered here is not information to be processed, but invitation to be answered. The invitation exists not in words, but in the quality of presence these principles evoke. You recognize this presence not as foreign wisdom, but as your own deeper knowing, the part of you that has always understood that discipline is not constraint, but the foundation of all meaningful freedom. That financial mastery begins not with complex strategy, but with simple awareness. That the habits of Musashi endure, not because they are difficult, but because they align with the truth of human excellence. When something resonates at this depth, engagement becomes not obligation, but natural response. If this message touched something silent within you, manifest in the comments with the keyword awakened as you move forward from this moment, carrying these principles not as information, but as awakened potential. Remember that the greatest wealth accumulates not in accounts, but in presence. The presence that transforms ordinary decisions into foundations of extraordinary life. The presence that recognizes in each financial choice an opportunity to strengthen or weaken your sovereign self. The Stoic does not fear the market's fluctuations, but his own undisciplined reactions to them. Masters of self become masters of circumstance not by controlling the external world, but by governing the internal one. When silence returns, as it always does in the spaces between noise, what will it remind you about who you are becoming? This question accompanies you now, not as burden, but as compass, guiding you toward the wealth that cannot be measured, only manifested through the quiet power of unshakable discipline.